Family and Carer Resource Pack. This booklet is designed to help you to understand more about major trauma and how it can affect you. Signposting options are available at the end of the booklet to provide you with support within your local community. Whilst it might not be you on the major trauma pathway, trauma can affect everyone. It's important to know how trauma might affect you in order to allow you to identify options for further support in the future, should this be necessary. Resource aims. The aim of this booklet is to support the families, carers, and the system of those affected by major trauma. Trauma is often challenging. Whilst there is no resource to tell you exactly how to cope with trauma, this guide aims to provide you with information about trauma and how it might affect you. Please remember that you're not alone. There's no right way or wrong way to feel right now. Take care to meet your own basic needs during this difficult time. Contents. Number 1. What is trauma? 2. Case study. Joan's story. 3. Emotional aftermath. 4. Stress bucket. 5. The impact of trauma. 6. Vicarious trauma. 7. Psychological first aid. 8. Self-care wheel. 9. Additional resources. 10. Contacts. 11. Signposting. 12. Case study revisited. 1. What is trauma? Trauma relates to a person's experience of emotional distress, which results from an event that overwhelms their capacity to digest it. Trauma is an emotional response caused by threatening or distressing events. You can experience trauma from both events that happen to you or events that you've witnessed happening to others. Many people will go through some sort of traumatic event in their life, such as the unexpected death of a loved one or a car accident. It's important to remember that what may be a traumatic event for one person may not be traumatic for someone else. People process traumatic events differently, and the meaning and impact of that event is entirely personal. Figure 1 illustrates some examples of incidents which may lead to a traumatic reaction. Figure 1. Potential sources of trauma. Examples of trauma include bullying, serious accidents, an attack, a major natural disaster, for example, flash flooding, being witness to violence. Number 2. Case study. Joan's story. Joan, aged 74, found out her husband Mark was in a serious road traffic accident. She visited him every day in the intensive care unit. She found it so upsetting to see him lying in hospital bed, looking so different to his normal self. When he came home, she made sure she provided him with everything he needed, which included helping him dress and driving him to all his appointments. This meant she wasn't able to see much of her friends or attend her aqua aerobics class. She didn't mind, as Mark was her priority, and she was more than happy to help. He had been through so much. Over time, she noticed she felt exhausted all the time, and she was highly irritable. She wasn't sleeping at all, and really couldn't stop thinking about him being in ICU, with all those tubes in his body. She craved some time alone, but felt guilty at the thought. Joan was experiencing a trauma reaction in relation to her husband's accident. Her trauma symptoms and some supportive strategies are highlighted throughout this resource. 3. The emotional aftermath. It is typical to be distressed after a traumatic event. You may need some time and support to adjust and process what you've been through. Everyone reacts differently and may need different amounts of time to regain a sense of normality. It is common to have feelings of shock and denial straight after. You may also have longer term reactions, such as those illustrated in Figure 2. And such examples include dietary issues, nausea, fatigue, mood swings, cognitive difficulties, nightmares, sleep issues, poor concentration, memory problems, low libido, anxiety, flashbacks. You might experience a delayed reaction. For example, you feel well initially, but then experience changes to your mental well-being in the future. It is common to also notice changes in your behaviour, such as trying to avoid reminders of the trauma, for example, conversations about the trauma, or going to the place where the trauma occurred. These are normal reactions, and for most people, these symptoms will decrease over time. It may take some weeks for you to be able to come to terms with what has happened. 4. Stress bucket. It can be useful to think of emotional difficulties in the context of a metaphor called the stress bucket. See figure 3. If we are well resourced and have appropriate buffers to keep us safe, soothed, and connected with the world, our bucket can cope with the addition of more and more water. Figure 3. Stress bucket. In this figure, there's a bucket that contains water, alluding to stress levels, and a buffer zone. And each tap represents some of the water or factors that are influencing stress levels. Tap number 1, bereavement. Number 2, moving house. Number 3, relationship problems. And 4, work pressure, job loss. And there are 4 taps at the bottom of the bucket that can help to release some water through strategies such as worry management, self-care, doing things for yourself and enjoyment, problem solving, and also alcohol and drugs, which can also feed back into the stress bucket and increase stress levels. And the aforementioned variables are all factors that can influence stress levels. Trauma can represent a monumental life stress. A surplus amount of water can destabilise our bucket and cause it to tip over in the absence of other supportive buffers. This may lead to emotional difficulties, therefore, it is useful to recognise such warning signs. There's a video that can be reached by scanning the QR code on the right hand side of this page. 5. The impact of trauma. During and shortly after a traumatic event, the body goes into a physical state called the acute stress response. This means that the brain's threat detector, the amygdala, sounds the alarm and activates our fight, flight, or freeze response. A sudden release of hormones increases heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing rate. All these changes in the body are designed to try and help you escape or overcome the danger. In the fight, flight, or freeze, the survival part of the brain is activated, and any responses or actions are driven by this. Working from the survival part of the brain means that we are not able to access the part of our brain that's involved in rational, logical thinking, problem solving, and new learning. The acute stress response plays an important role in how we respond to threat. After a traumatic event, your brain will try to keep you safe and prepare for other traumatic events. You may find that you experience this when faced with reminders of past traumatic events. For example, if you have been in a road traffic accident, you may find that sitting in a car can cause a stress response. 6. Vicarious trauma. Sometimes we can experience symptoms of trauma despite the traumatic experience happening to someone else. This can result from a change in our emotional processes as a consequence of empathetic engagement with someone else who's been affected by trauma. We can also experience vicarious trauma if we've been forced to act in a way that is not in line with our values. The stress bucket analogy, psychological first aid, and self-care wheel are also relevant to understand and promote well-being during challenging times. And there's a QR code on the left-hand side that can be scanned for more information. 7. Psychological first aid. In order to meet your basic needs following a difficult event, it's important to attend to each of the areas of well-being listed in the above diagram. These include care, meeting your basic needs, protect from risk of danger, comfort, support, provide information on coping, connect with others for social support, educate about typical responses. And there's a QR code on the right hand side of this document that can be scanned for more information. And figure 4, psychological first aid principles. Repeat those that were listed previously. 8. Self-care wheel. The self-care wheel provides an overview of ways to meet various needs in order to maximise your well-being. In order to be fully equipped to support someone else, we need to take care of ourselves. Similar to putting on our own oxygen mask on an airplane before helping to support another individual. And the image of the self-care wheel depicts a wheel with 6 different quadrants, with self-care wheel illustrated in the middle, and life balance in the circle outside of the self-care wheel middle circle. And the quadrants are listed as follows: physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, personal, and professional. And some examples of self-care from a physical perspective: safe housing, regular medical care, eat healthily, exercise, be sexual, get enough sleep, take vacations, take time off, massages, acupuncture, bubble baths, kiss, ask for nature, take a walk, turn off phone, get me time. And psychological: self-reflection, therapy, journal, self-awareness, sensory engagement, aromatherapy, draw, paint, go to symphony or ballet, relax in the sun, garden, read a self-help book, join a support group, think about positive qualities, practice asking and receiving help. Emotional: affirmations, self-love, self-compassion, cry, social justice engagement, laugh, say I love you, watch a funny movie, find a hobby, flirt, buy yourself a present, cuddle with your pet, tell yourself you're gorgeous, practice forgiveness. Spiritual: self-reflection, go into nature, find spirituality, community, self-cherish, meditate, sing, dance, play, be inspired, take yoga, play with children, bathe in the sun, watch sunsets, pray, find spiritual mentor, volunteer for a cause, foster self-forgiveness. And personal: learn who you are, figure out what you want in life, plan short and long-term goals, make a vision board, foster friendships, go on dates and get coffee with a friend, get out of debt, just relax, write a poem or book, spend time with your family, cook out and learn to play guitar. Professional: take time for lunch, set boundaries, do not work overtime, leave work at work, do not work during your time off, get regular supervision, get support of your colleagues, take mental health days, learn to say no, plan your next career move, take a class, take all vacation and sick days. So some generic ideas there listed as part of the self-care wheel. Whilst there may be some uncertainty regarding the recovery timeline of your loved one, take care of your own basic needs at this difficult time. What will help you ensure that you're equipped to navigate the tide of the storm ahead. Identifying your own warning signs in relation to your emotional well-being will help to prevent you from experiencing potential emotional difficulties in the future. 9. Additional resources. Follow this QR code to link to Mind, a UK mental health charity, which has detailed information on the effects of trauma and how to support your well-being. Scan the QR code to find out more. Follow this QR code to learn more about Scotland's National Trauma Training Vision, featuring a series of trauma-related videos and information. Scan the second QR code and follow this QR code to link to Day 1 trauma support for patients, family members and carers with information relating to welfare, legal aid, family and counselling and crisis support information, and scan the QR code to find out more. 10. Contacts. If you're required to speak to someone about additional local support for your family member on the major trauma pathway, you can contact the Major Trauma Coordination Team. If you're a professional requiring support, you can speak to your supervisor, line manager, or occupational therapy department through your internal pathway. 11. Signposting. If you experience persistent emotional difficulties, speak to your GP in the first instance. There are also self-help resources online. Visit Access Therapies Fife, NHS 24, Silvercloud online modules, or call Breathing Space on 0800 838 587 or Samaritans on 116 123. Other sources of support are available. Fife Carers Centre by emailing centre@fifecarers.co.uk, The Well by telephoning 0345 155 1500 or emailing thewell@fife.gov.uk or visit your local well. Other helpful websites include www.icusteps.org or www.criticalcarerecovery.com, and you can download a wellbeing guide here, produced by Pennine Care NHS Trust, and scan the QR code to find out more. 2. Case Study Revisited. Joan read the family and carer resource pack, which helped her understand some of the things she'd been thinking and feeling. She acknowledged that even though she hadn't been the one in the accident, she still had been through a very challenging and emotional experience. She understood that in order to be able to help and care for Mark the way she wanted to, she needed to look after herself. Joan reached out to her daughter and asked if she could come round each Monday evening to be with Mark, to allow Joan to return to aqua aerobics and to have a cuppa with a friend after. When she felt guilty, she reminded herself of the stress bucket idea, as both exercise and social connection were tapped to release stress from her stress bucket. Joan spoke with her GP about how she had been feeling, and they referred her to a listening service, where Joan had space to talk about her experiences, which she'd previously been keeping in. Joan noticed that her sleep and mood began to improve over time. This leaflet was developed by Dr. Craig Mackay, clinical psychologist, and Dr. Bethany Brown, clinical psychologist, in NHS Fife, in consultation with the NHS Fife Trauma Coordination Team. If you require this information in a community language or alternative format, for example Braille, audio large print BSL, or easy read, please contact the Equality and Human Rights team at fife.equalityandhumanrights@nhs.scot or phone 0592 729 130. For deaf BSL users or people with a hearing or verbal impairment, you can also contact the team via the NHS Fife SMS text service number on 07805 800 005.